We begin firstly with the horrific crash in County Kildare at the weekend. We'll speak to Detective Mark Ferris from the Garda Representative Association in just a moment. But first, Niall O'Connor, news correspondent with the Journal, is with us. Niall, thanks for joining us this morning. So some more details have been emerging about the movements of the BMW, which is believed at this stage was travelling the wrong way down the motorway. What can you tell us?
Well, look, I suppose in the journal, what we've been doing was trying to build that picture of what happened yesterday morning. But ultimately, what we do know is that the Gardaí were in contact with this vehicle before the collision. They had attempted to stop it at least, or at least to try and signal for it to stop. At some point, the Gardaí were left behind by this vehicle, and it made its way onto the M9 in a fairly obvious effort to get away from the Garda cars. It's not exactly known whether the guards had followed them to the top of the on-ramp, but certainly, this is a tactic, for want of a better word, that's been used by multiple joyriding gangs that have been operating, particularly in Dublin and surrounding counties, which we've been reporting on in the journal extensively. So I think at the moment it's safe to say that this BMW, which we understand to have been stolen, these five young teenage boys were in that car, and they decided to go down the M9, and of course, as we know now, with absolutely tragic consequences.
Yeah, and we know, or it at least is reported, that there was an attempt made to stop that car in Athy. It was later seen then near Kilcullen in the service station there before ultimately this tragedy happened. And then coming to the aftermath of the crash, Niall, we know now that the Gardaí and the rescue services, the emergency workers, because the damage was so great to that BMW, it took them some time to figure out how many people had died in the crash.
Yeah, that's correct. And look, there's no point going on into the horrible, grim details here, I suppose. But ultimately, such was the impact. That the injuries were instantly fatal, I think is fair to say. The area that needed to be dealt with by the forensic collision investigators stretched over and into the adjoining carriageway as well. So look, you're looking at potentially a space, a collision space of about 60 meters, I think, in width. So that just tells you the speed that these young fellas were going.
And we're going to hear more about the Garda response in just a moment, but the statement from the Garda Commissioner laid it out in a very clear fashion, Niall, that the guards, he says, are being put in a really challenging situation. Just tell us a bit more about what Justin Kelly had to say.
Well, it's about time the Garda organisation actually admitted this, because we've been reporting extensively in the journal on this, and Detective Garda Mark Ferris, who you'll have on shortly, has been quoted by me in regard to this. I mean, it is notable that when I ran a story about this issue on Saturday, the guards basically gave me a statement that said everything is fine, everything is grand, numbers are down. But then you have the Garda Commissioner yesterday admitting that that social media is the motivating is the motive here in many respects for these young lads. Now, what I've determined and what I've understood is that there's around about 6 to 7 groupings. Now, they're disparate groupings, but they're essentially stealing cars across the capital. This is not not just a Dublin problem, though. This issue exists in Limerick, and it exists in Cork as well, and we've reported on that. But the problem is that they're numerous in Dublin, and for whatever reason, they're all applying the same methods. And these are young kids out at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. The guards are coming across them, and for all the world, I think the TikTok videos that I've seen certainly all follow the same script. It's essentially, a very, very excitable young fella screaming that the guards have been lost by them. Um, I think, I'm sure Mark is going to go through this, but there's problems with pursuit training. There are problems with support after these collisions. There are Gardaí facing charges, and they're facing investigations. Not to go into those details at all here, but basically, I think your average operational Garda feels completely unsupported by the organisation they serve in, and the state they serve. And I think that's really something we need to look at as a country, about how we treat our operational Gardaí.
Okay, Niall, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much, Niall O'Connor, news correspondent with The Journal. As he said, we're going to hear from the Garda Representative Association shortly, but I want to go to Pa Daly, Sinn Féin spokesperson on transport, who joins us on the line as well. Pa, thanks for being with us this morning. We'll come to some of those issues raised by Niall in a moment, but firstly, your reaction to what happened yesterday.
Yeah, look, as Niall said, a lot of what happened is not known, and it's obviously devastating for everyone involved, for the families. And I want to send out my sympathies to the families of everyone who was injured and who was killed. And our TD for Kildare, Sean O'Neill, spoke very well, and also to remember that the emergency services coming on such a scene, and that the traumatic effect that it would have had on them. And you know, it's a pattern that has been continuing. We can see, and we actually dealt with in the road traffic committee, in the traffic transport committee, for the best part of this year, dealing with the amount of road collisions, road deaths, and life-changing injuries. And unfortunately, the numbers are going in the wrong direction. Last year, there was 190 deaths on our roads, which was the highest in a decade. And this year there's 116 according to Garda statistics up to yesterday, 116 compared to 109 at the similar time last year.
Okay,
so there's a serious problem in that numbers are going the wrong direction. And just to go back to what Niall said, we can see about what they're talking about, the supports for Gardaí. No, the number one problem is, no more than public order and difficulties on the streets, you need visibility of Gardaí on the roads. In 2009, there was 1,046 Gardaí in road traffic units, and in 2026, there's 645. The numbers have been halved in Dublin, and in Sligo, it's gone from 34 down to 14.
But Pa, you can have as many guards as you want on the roads. If they feel powerless to stop people ploughing the wrong way down a motorway, that's not much use, is it?
Well, can I say that we had a very interesting contribution on the committee from Sheila Gilheany and her team from Alcohol Awareness Ireland. And the statistics are that 75% of people who go out on the roads feel that they're unlikely to meet Gardaí on that roads. And 12%, by the way, admit to taking alcohol in the previous year. So that people don't see the visibility, and therefore their behaviour is affected because they feel that they're unlikely to meet guards. But there's a very curious statement from the Minister earlier this morning, Minister Kenny, who said that he's waiting for Gardaí to specify the supports it needs to tackle reckless driving, and waiting for the Gardaí to come back following a meeting or meetings, I'm not sure which, in the last couple of weeks. Surely, at this stage of the game, the government knows exactly what it needs to do, and that is have more visibility of Gardaí. But can I also say that they need.
Sorry, no, I get your point about more guards, but Robin Schiller in the Irish Independent writes today, almost on a nightly basis, videos appear on TikTok accounts showing youths speeding against the traffic, saying, and sometimes you see, he says, the flashing blue lights of the Garda car disappearing into the distance.
Yes.
Like
Clearly,
you could put 1,000 extra guards on the street in the morning. That's not going to fix that problem.
Well, it would have an effect on causing people to think twice about going out on the roads in any way to deal with road traffic deaths. But it does come back to what is the government doing about it? And the RSA, the government commissioned an independent report. The RSA have a dual role with driver testing, and we see how that's going. And they also have a responsibility for road safety and road deaths.
What about social media companies, Pa, who allow those videos to be hosted on their sites?
Absolutely. And we saw recently in Kerry where there was a woman murdered, and the social media companies, her own Instagram account, they were very, very slow. And it wasn't until I raised it in the Dáil that they took down some heinous comments on that. And similarly, with these type of videos, social media companies need to step up to the plate. They have a responsibility not to be encouraging dangerous driving, not to be glorifying it. And this is a type of driving which is beyond dangerous, beyond reckless.
Okay.
And I know that
I have to
I
have to move on to Mark Ferris. He's waiting on the line.
I'll finish on this. I know that there's talk about more protection for police officers, similar to the English model. The government have been talking about this for a long time. They aren't really doing anything about it.
Okay.
And to say that they're waiting for the Gardaí to come back is quite a baffling statement by the Minister this morning.
Okay. Pa Daly from Sinn Féin, thank you. Mark Ferris is with us, Detective Garda, also from the Garda Representative Association. Mark, good morning to you. This must be devastating for you and your colleagues.
Good morning, Claire. It truly is. It's a traumatic effect, obviously, on the members who arrived at the scene in the early hours of the morning. I just listened to your speakers there in respect to this, and I know you mentioned social media, and I mentioned something there in the Irish Times this morning there, and that the social media companies seem to be facilitating this, and they must be held to account in some respect on this. Once they become aware of criminal offences, creating a threat to life, and this is what this is. You mentioned Robin Schiller there in the Irish Independent. These unauthorised taken stolen vehicles flying up and down the motorway, wrong way driving tactics being used, and it being glorified on social media is certainly facilitating this.
But these people who are doing this, they know that your colleagues can't catch them.
Well, I've been stating this for the last 2 years. Ireland is behind the curve. In many other jurisdictions, response, pursuit, driving is treated as a basic element of frontline policing, and it has clearly structured courses. You mentioned there we had another 1,000 guards there chasing one vehicle. If I am not trained or accredited tactically in how to stop a car, a motorbike, an e-scooter, a scrambler, how am I supposed to do it? And this is the training that the Garda Representative Association is asking.
So what is what is the solution to this? How do you stop cars where you have people inside hell-bent on driving the wrong way down a motorway?
Well, failure to stop for a guard is already an offence, but it doesn't carry the level of accountability required of what can happen next. A driver who deliberately refuses a lawful Garda direction is creating an escalating and foreseeable risk to Gardaí and the public out there, and the law should ensure that. So where a refusal to stop is proved, the offender faces enhanced responsibility for any harm and danger that follows from that conscious decision. And that requires a wider response than one from Garda Síochána alone. And we have seen there that social media aspect of it. Once they become aware of criminal offences creating a threat to life, they are legislated bound to inform members on Garda Síochána. And social media companies need to do that, but they're not. And as soon as possible, and take other action as necessary. And that would mean that you remove or restrict the material where it's appropriate, preserving it as evidence, ensuring it cannot be used again or cannot continue to promote copycat criminality, and banning the uploading.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, like guards will have.
But I suppose, Mark, what I think people want to see is that car would be stopped from getting on the motorway. And what you're talking about there are offences if somebody is caught almost after the act. Robin Schiller talks about tactical contact. Can you explain to me what that might look like?
Yeah, so and I've said time and time again, guards need properly designed and accredited pursuit training, suitable equipment, a clear legal framework and protection when acting reasonable and in good faith. The courts must also treat deliberate refusal to stop, unauthorised taking of cars and wrong way driving as a direct threat to life that they are. And we're seeing this. And you could go further there that the road authorities must look at wrong way detection and real-time alerts. They can utilise cameras, sensors, systems where safety is appropriate.
There is this talk, Mark, of a device on the exit lanes onto the motorways, on the slip roads, where your tyres would be blown out essentially if you were travelling down that slip road the wrong way. Would that help?
Yeah, of course, anything like that would help. Physical measures such as the one-way tyre deflation device that we have seen elsewhere, that's what you're referring to there, that of course would help. Like, the burden cannot keep on resting solely on Garda Síochána once a vehicle is already travelling against motorway traffic. Like, if it happens and someone reports, a car is going up and down the M7 or wherever wrong way, and the guards are not trained to engage in it, and we need training in it, and it's something that the association and I have been calling out for the last number of years on this.
Robin Schiller writes as well about one message which was with one of the videos that he saw posted online last week. Before you put the disco lights on, remember that you have a wife and child to go home to. We have nothing to risk. Taunting your colleagues.
Yeah, and I think I spoke with you a couple of years ago in respect of stolen cars going by a Garda station and beating the horn and inciting them out to. And the fact of the matter is here, and we are crying out to be trained for pursuit driving. Like, we can't expect members of Garda Síochána to be just trained up to response, and when someone's failing to respond and it turns into a pursuit, we don't have that training. And again, I've highlighted there, we had members of the Garda Síochána before the courts due to these issues.
All right.
And this is the risk for our members.
Yeah, it's a huge issue. It's a huge issue. Mark, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Mark Ferris from the Garda Representative Association. Newstalk's Jessica Woodlock is at the scene of that crash now on the M9. Jessica, what's happening there today?
Hi, Claire. Well, it's a really busy morning on the roads here. The M9 has the usual commuter traffic all morning, and it's a completely different scene to the horrific incident that occurred here yesterday. Details of that collision are continuing to emerge, as you've been discussing in the last few minutes. But for the locals here, it remains just a state of shock following not just the deaths of those 5 boys, but the second car who we know were on their way to Dublin Airport. The fact that those people remain seriously injured in hospital this morning. This morning I've been speaking with the local parish priest for Athy and Moone, Father Seamus McEntee, and he told me, Claire, that he was actually on the M9 where this happened on Saturday night, so just a few hours ahead of that collision. And like others who I'm sure were travelling in the area that night, his thoughts are, that could have been me, that could have been anyone I know, because of that unavoidable fact that this collision happened because of a car travelling the wrong way. He expressed his sympathy with the families of those 5 teenagers who lost their lives. But we also spoke about that car that was carrying the 3 women and a young boy who remain in hospital this morning. And we spoke, Claire, about the fact that they were on their way, probably full of excitement to get to Dublin Airport that day.
Yeah, well, I understand it comes home to me because I'm taking a few weeks holiday myself, even heading off tomorrow. So I know what it is, the excitement of packing a bag, going with friends or going with family on a holiday. It's something to look forward to, and little would anyone think that they're on their way in the early hours heading to the airport, that suddenly something like this happens. So tragic and such a shock to the system. Cars, roads can be dangerous places, certainly to watch out, to be vigilant, to drive with care, and for everybody just to hold each other, especially at this time, which is very, very sad. It's very difficult. It's certainly on the thoughts, the thoughts of many people in conversations of people I have met about what has happened, especially in that local area, and people from Athy are deeply affected. So many friends, so many cousins, relatives. From our point, faith certainly has something to offer, and to offer for those to know we don't have all the answers, but that we can come together in a sense of prayer, a sense of support, solidarity for one another. And I know I've spoken to the other priests in the combined parishes that during this week ahead and beyond, we'll be offering prayers in our masses and prayers of support for the families who have suffered loss and those who are seriously injured.
And that was Jess Woodlock there, our reporter, reporting from the scene of that crash in County Kildare.